Hello, I'm Kaylin from Homeschool Buyers Co-op, and I hope you will join me in welcoming today's presenter, Dr. Heather Manley, ND, for today's webinar, Tips to Support Your Immune System This Cold and Flu Season. Dr. Heather is a practicing doctor who received her medical degree in 2001 from National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. Dr. Heather lives and practices on the Big Island of Hawaii, where her focus is on preventative health care for families and providing a resource for families to learn more about preventative health care so they can be confident and proactive in their everyday health. Dr. Heather has authored the award-winning Human Body Detectives book and curriculum series. Heather is also a contributing writer to Dandelion Moms, Organic Eats Magazine, Parents Canada, and Kiwi Magazine, and is also, oh wait, I already said that, also the author of the Human Body Detectives, a fun and engaging resource that teaches kids about their bodies and what foods best feed them. During the webinar, please feel free to ask any questions you have via the chat box to participate with the Q&A with Dr. Heather at the end. And I would like to invite Dr. Heather to take it away.
Hi, thank you so much for that great intro. This is my bio, but it sounds good and I appreciate it. And I'm really excited to be talking about this because prevention is really true to my heart when we're talking about our health. Having people be proactive and confident and taking care of their own beings is really empowering and really exciting for me to talk about and to help people strive for. So let's get started. Oh, I do need to throw in this disclaimer. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We're here for me to educate you all on ways to do some prevention in getting colds and flus. I'm not here to diagnose or to treat. I'm happy to answer any questions, but if you are sick or feeling sick, it's always important to go to your healthcare professional. So that is something I definitely wanted to throw out there. And also there is a PDF that I've created. I'm not sure whether you have it now or whether it's coming to you after this webinar, but everything that we're going to talk about today is in there. I'll probably be throwing a few extra things in my talking, so you might want to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and jot down some notes, but I'm always open to answering questions via email, so if there's any down the line, always feel free to contact me, because truly this is a subject I really love to talk about and to help people empower themselves and their families to stay healthy, or if they get sick, they bounce back fast. Okay, so I think it's really important for my profession to talk about what is naturopathic medicine, because it's actually the first question I get asked all the time, like, naturopathic doctor, what is that? Well, naturopathic medicine is a holistic philosophy emphasizing prevention combined with safe and effective treatment modalities such as botanical medicine, clinical nutrition, and the most current advances in modern medicine to encourage people's self-healing ability. So one thing that, and this just happened the other day, someone was telling me they went to a naturopath, and I asked them, where this person went to school, and they were like, oh, I don't know. And I just did a quick little look, and they did an online program. So I do want to let you know that it is important to do your due diligence and making sure that you go to a naturopathic doctor who did go to an accredited school. So for me, I did my pre-med and undergraduate, and then I worked for a medical doctor, conventional medical doctor, and then I went to the National University of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. At the time, there's only 2 accredited schools. Now there's many, so that's great because there's more naturopathic doctors out there. But just make sure that you do, if you're going to go see a naturopathic doctor, make sure that they did do all their clinical training. Medical schools with allopathic and naturopathic is quite similar. all the ologies you can imagine, from anatomy to cardiology to pediatrics. I think the biggest difference is that not only do naturopaths take a year of pharmacology, maybe it was 2 years, I can't really recall now, and I can prescribe pharmaceuticals, but we dive a little bit deeper, which is what we're going to talk about today, in different treatment modalities such as botanical medicine, clinical nutrition, which I took 2 years of, and botanical medicine took 2 years of studying that, and homeopathy and hydrotherapy and physical therapy, which is wonderful because it creates a bigger doctor's bag for me to draw from to, help many people. So it's, one person isn't going to always present the same. So that's can be really advantageous for me as a physician to really personalize a treatment plan. So it was founded by Nip and his son Linlar and a few other founding healers who base their philosophies on treating the whole person, not just the symptom. And when this doesn't happen, this is what they call the law of nature occurs, which is a lower vital force, accumulation of toxins, and abnormal blood and lymph. And I often say that the approach to naturopathic medicine can be summed up with this quote: "The superb physician treats disease before it occurs." And I wanted to throw that in there right now because we're talking about prevention. And I, like I said already a few times, I really love talking about health prevention and, empowering people to take their health into their own hands as much as they can. Okay, so I think what's really important is being able to differentiate between a cold or a flu, because a lot of times people interchange these. Sometimes they say they have a cold, but actually they have the flu, or sometimes they say they have flu, but it's actually a cold. And a lot of things that we're going to talk about, especially with homeopathy today, it's really important to understand the differences between these two. So when I think about a cold, I think about head congestion and a lot of nasal stuff going on. So you're going to have a runny nose, a stuffy nose, probably a lot of sneezing, and this usually will begin 1 to 5 days after being exposed to a virus or a bacteria. And sometimes a cold will bring on a fever, but not always. And it probably won't be a high fever like you'll see with the flu. So with the flu, there's 2 big keynotes with flus. You're going to feel sick all over. So you're going to have body aches. There's going to be a lack of energy. The other big keynote is that it starts abruptly with hardly any notice. So, at the dinner table, everyone's feeling super great. And then like an hour later, your 8-year-old child or your partner is got 102 fever. So it just comes out of the blue. So those are 2, those are the differences that, are really important to understand when we're going to be using some botanical medicine and homeopathy. So one of the modalities that I learned in medical school was hydrotherapy. And it's an ancient, relaxing, powerful therapy used to cleanse and rebuild the metabolism while stimulating whole body healing. It is sometimes referred to as constitutional hydrotherapy because it changes the very constitution of each individual cell. It works directly on improving immune system, increasing digestive and elimination function, and achieving total body detoxification. It's been used for years and years and years to detoxify heavy metals, pesticide and herbicide toxicity, the daily toxic buildup of improper diet and lifestyle. It is one of the most effective therapies used in naturopathic medicine, given that it stimulates the body's own healing force. And at one point, it was the standard medical treatment in hospitals and clinics. Now, you still use hydrotherapy quite a lot. They still use it a lot in Europe, especially Germany. And I remember learning about it in medical school. It was the dead of winter. And if you can imagine, in Portland, Oregon, it was not only cold, but it was damp. And our professor said, challenged us to do some hydrotherapy by, after every hot shower, just spraying our body with cold water and then getting out. And we were all like, are you nuts? I'm not putting any cold water on my body in the middle of the winter. But, you know, we're all medical students. We, you know, you practice what you preach. So we well, at least I did, went for it. And it was powerful. I mean, I felt alert and I felt great. It was, it definitely, you know, proved to be something that I was going to be suggesting to all my patients to do, which I do. So if you come see me as a patient, hydrotherapy is always going to be part of the picture. So it's based on the principle of applying hot and cold applications to the body to improve circulation of blood and lymph. So cold is very stimulating, which causes the superficial blood vessels to constrict and shunt the blood to internal organs. And hot water is relaxing, causing the blood vessels to dilate and remove waste products from the body tissues. So the contrast of hot and cold applications increases the flow of oxygen and nutrients to cells and vital organs. And it allows cells to work more effectively and utilize nutrition more efficiently. And how great is that? And it's free, and it's a great preventative measure to make sure that your body's being, and your cells and your organs are being fully supported. So there's a few different ways to incorporate hydrotherapy as prevention or when you're sick. Like I was saying earlier, with you know, when you're in a hot shower, turn it off, the hot water, and blast your body with cold water for, you know, 10 seconds to 30 seconds. The other method that I, you know, use a lot, especially with children and adults who have head and lung colds, is our magic socks and t-shirts. I call them magic socks instead of like cold wet socks or wet t-shirt, because that sounds a little scary and intimidating. So magic kind of brings some curiosity to the treatment. But it's in your PDF handout. It will, I go on and you know, tell you how to do it. But basically what you're going to do is make sure that you've heated up your body, whether it's with hot water or rubbing the feet really well. And then you applying either a cold wet t-shirt or cold wet socks, and then putting like a wool sweater or wool socks over, and then hopping into the bed. And it is really great. I mean, hands down, go out and buy your wool socks. Many people don't have those, and be prepared to use this as much as you can. It's great if you feel like you're getting a little scratchy throat, or you feel a headache coming on, or if you have a new baby who's teething. This is really great. I mean, with a baby, you don't want the water to be as cold as, say, with your partner. So, you know, you need to adjust to that. But it's really wonderful. And I might say this a few times throughout this webinar, because I think it's really important. It's something that we need to bring back to medicine, is the healing touch with hands. We don't do that as much as we have in the past, and it can be quite powerful, even more powerful than giving a supplement or a pill, is putting your hands on a patient's body and talking to them and listening to them. It can, and that's what hydrotherapy does. I mean, you're talking to them, and you're listening to them, you're putting your hands on them, you're helping them. And it really can help stimulate the immune system and support the immune system. So castor oil packs, I put under hydrotherapy as well. It's not really using hot water or cold water, but it's got the same principle of increasing the flow of oxygen and nutrients to cells, and specifically the digestive system. Many people use castor oil packs for liver detox. I have primarily used castor oil packs for any digestive upsets, so some diarrhea, constipation. Castor oil packs are like magical for people who feel constipated, gas, bloating, or any kind of tummy ache. castor oils can be really great. And again, you just need a bottle of castor oil, you need a cotton cloth and a hot water bottle, and that's it. And so it's easy. Hydrotherapy that I suggest to patients quite frequently is dry skin brushing. And this is simple as well. You just need to make sure that you get a loofah or a natural brush fiber and keep it in your bathroom. And right before you hop in the shower, take a bath, you use the loofah to, you brush it over your skin towards your heart. And it increases the lymphatics system, which is a system that's not doesn't have muscular contractions, so it relies on exercise and the blood flow to help move the lymph through what the lymph carries waste products. So it stimulates the lymphatic system to be able to get rid of the waste that your body doesn't need. So dry skin brushing is really easy and simple to bring into your everyday routine. Okay, so homeopathy. So homeopathy is wonderful. I use it all the time. It's an alternative medicine that was first defined by Samuel Hahnemann in the 18th century. It's gentle, it's holistic system of healing that is ideal for everyone. It's based on the theory like cures like. And the remedies are derived from plant, animal, or minerals and are prepared in very dilute amounts. And the theory of like cures like is really what I wanted to talk about today, especially when you're understanding the difference between cold and flus and really understanding how the patient is presenting themselves are really important considerations on choosing a homeopathic remedy. So we talked about the differences between colds and flus, and then so the next thing is understanding like what the symptom is, what the patient is presenting with. So are they thirsty? And if they are thirsty, are they preferring cold or warm drinks? Are they angry or frightened when they're with how they're feeling? These are ways for you to be able to differentiate between choosing one homeopathic remedy over another. And it can be really helpful to use homeopathy as part of the treatment plan, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, how I approach colds and flus when you do have them. So let's see. Let's move on. So here are some homeopathic remedies that I like to keep on hand. I actually help and consult. A lot of people do come to me to help them create natural pharmacies for their family, which was interesting that kind of came into the picture for me right after I graduated medical school, because it's really wonderful if somebody can come to see me and when they're not sick, and so we can talk about, like, say their partner gets muscle aches, and they get headaches, and their son has a tendency to get lung infections, and their daughter gets ear infections. We can really tailor a natural pharmacy for them to use, to have on hand, so they can see some of the signs that maybe somebody's getting sick, so they can start beforehand, so that they can either prevent the illness or they can help support them through the illness so they can bounce back quite quickly. So these are some of the remedies that I do keep handy. Ferrum phos is great. Usually I'm using 30C. So if you do go to a health food store or you're ordering some homeopathics, I usually go for 30C. So some of the key notes with Ferrum phos is that there are no clear keynotes. So if you really don't know whether it's a cold or a flu, or whether the patient can't really tell you how they're feeling, this is a really good remedy to give. Sometimes they feel better with touch. Sometimes cold application is great, but a lot of times they're saying, I don't know what's going on. So this is kind of a good remedy when you don't know what to give. Belladonna is probably one of the best remedies I find for people who have a flu, because flus come on sudden. Usually there's a high fever and a flushed red face, and belladonna fits that picture perfectly. My daughter was a total belladonna child. She would be happy running around, have dinner, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, would have red face and like 103 fever. Belladonna, I'd give it to her. She'd fall asleep and wake up feeling great. Aconite is a remedy that a lot of people give first when a cold or flu is noted. A lot of times the patient is fearful, and this is a really important sign. I had a patient many years ago. I was doing a house call, and it was obvious she was sick, but she was presenting with so much fear. She was so scared that she was going to go to the ER. And so I gave her aconite, and within 15 minutes, she fell asleep. I'm always sometimes kind of amazed at when you pick the right remedy. Homeopathy can really, really be powerful. And it was great. Although she did wake up in the morning, I wasn't there. She got fearful again, and she ended up going to the hospital. But if she had taken another dose of aconite, it could have been she could have avoided that hospital visit. Bryonia is also a good remedy because it has a slow developing fever. So if it starts with a cold and you notice that they're getting a fever, Bryonia might be a good remedy to throw into the picture. Gelsinium, this is a good remedy for especially this time of year when the seasons are changing, because a lot of people do feel have a hard time adjusting to change in weather. So Gelsinium is a good one to keep on hand during the fall and winter and the spring when the seasons are changing. A few other remedies I like are arsenicum, which is great for somebody who gets frequent colds, chest pain, they feel very weak. Phosphorus is really great too for people who, it goes straight to their lungs. Natrium muriaticum is great when the nasal discharge is clear. If it's got a color to it, like yellow or green, pulsatilla is a great remedy. And if the eyes are involved, I like to use euphrasia. Okay. See, that was a lot of information. Again, if you ever have any questions, you can feel free to email me anytime. So let's move on to botanical medicine. Botanical medicine is a traditional medicine. It's based on the use of plants and or their extracts, and may also be referred to herbalism, medical herbology, phytotherapy, and herbal medicine. There's many different ways that you can present botanicals in helping the body be supported and to help the body heal themselves. There's the decoction, which is the extraction of the active ingredients by boiling down the herb in water. So if any of you have been to a Chinese medical doctor, they do a lot of this method. Usually walk out of a Chinese medical doctor with a big bag of herbs that range from bark or roots, and you boil it down for a certain amount of time and then drink it. Infusion, I think about a herb that's being steeped in hot or cold water. So I use a lot of infusions with people, especially to help keep them hydrated. So using herbal teas instead of if they have a hard time drinking water, that's a great way to keep yourself hydrated. Tincture or glyceride are made with using ground herbs with alcohol, glycerin, or vinegar, and used internally. I often use glycerite with children because it has no taste, and it tastes because there's no alcohol in it. But due to that, it does need to be refrigerated. So that is definitely something to keep on mind, especially if you're traveling. And then, of course, you can get encapsulated supplements that are dried herbs that are placed in a capsule. There's so many different immune herbs and formulas, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. But let's move on. Essential oils. I have been using essential oils for years, maybe even decades. It's probably actually the first, my first introduction to medicine was probably in the 80s when I was a teenager, and I was experimenting with essential oils. But I've been using them a lot more in the last few years. And although essential oils can be used for a myriad of health concerns, I primarily use them for mental and emotional health and stability. I find that many physical illnesses are triggered by unstable emotional states. And I find one of the best ways to sort through these emotional states in a safe and supported way is with essential oils. I find that many people who are struggling with stress, unmanaged stress, anxiety, panic attacks, just not feeling emotionally stable, can typically have more physical symptoms in their body. So if we can help support them with essential oils, that can really help any kind of challenge the immune system. So I use essential oils primarily in two ways, topically and aromatically. For topically, it's really great because essential oils are tiny and they have a very light chemical weight. And because of this, they have a greater possibility of being absorbed by the skin. So because of this, they have the potential to penetrate the skin and pass into the bloodstream and into the different areas of the body for internal therapeutic benefits. As a general rule, I use 3 to 5 drops of essential oil per teaspoon of carrier oil. So a carrier oil can be almond, jojoba, fractionated olive oil. You could even use an olive oil if you don't have any of those other oils handy. When you're using a baby or a child, you definitely want to use less drops of the essential oil and more of the carrier oil. Again, by using essential oils topically, we're bringing in that healing touch. So if somebody's got a stomach ache and you make a little massage oil with the essential oils, you're using your hands to massage into the belly. Or if somebody's got tense muscles, you're bringing your healing touch to help the patient get better. And that it's really powerful and important, and has a profound effect on the length of somebody's illness or preventing someone's illness. Aromatically, I use essential oils almost every day in a diffuser. My children have them in their bedrooms. I have one in the living room. They can be really soothing and relaxing, especially for people who have hard time managing stress, or if they're studying for exams. It can be really a great thing to help manage all of that. I have written down a few formulas that I like for different states. So for moods and emotions, I really love using citrus oils. Bergamot's one of my favorite. Lavender and frankincense are a really fabulous combination. And for any of you who have teenagers who are studying for exams or tests, peppermint and rosemary are really great, and they smell good. One of the other beauties of using diffusers and essential oils is that kids can choose what scents makes them feel really great. And so that, again, is empowering them to take care of themselves. And again, that's really, it's great for people to learn that, or children to learn that as a child, and so they can take that through their teenage and young adult life when, you know, that they're leaving home, because it does happen, believe it or not. I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old, and it's sometimes hard to believe that they've really grown up. But knowing that they can take care of themselves if they're feeling sick is really comforting to a parent. Okay, so prevention. This is, I typically suggest for people to have 3 supplements on hand all the time, either taking daily or pulsing it. So like if they're feeling sick or they feel a stressful event is coming up, they can make sure that they're taking these. I love essential fatty acids for numerous reasons. Our bodies can't make them. We have to get them from our food or a supplement. They help not only for the cardiovascular system, but to the nervous system, to the skin. If you are going to be taking cod liver oil, it has vitamin A and D in it, which is very supportive to the immune system. So it's really good to have essential fatty acids part of your, I almost look at them as part of your nutrition and your food that you need to be taking, maybe not daily, but weekly. So you're taking them a few times a week. And just a little plug in here, there's 2 main components in essential fatty acids. There's EPA and DHEA. And we hear a lot about DHEA because that's what's really helpful to the nervous system. So there's a lot of research that talks about children who get a lot of DHEA in the first 5 years of life have a higher IQ. But what we don't hear so much about is the EPA. And the EPA is great for teenagers because it helps to support mood and emotions. And so when you have a child, say under the age of 10 or 8, you want to look for a supplement that's got a higher DHEA to EPA. And then when you have the older child, you want to have those numbers switch. So more EPA to DHEA. That's good to know. Probiotics, they are the good bacteria that we can find in our gut. They really help keep the bad bacteria in check. And since 70% of the immune system is in the digestive system, you're getting lots of support by taking some probiotics. And there's so much research that's been emerging, and you probably, you know, a lot of people are saying like the gut is, you know, where, you know, the gut microbiome is really important to our overall health. And I feel like I learned this in medical school like 15, 20 years ago, because the digestive system, if it's not absorbing nutrients, it can't fuel your body. So that's why probiotics are a huge part of my picture, and even doing, like we were talking about earlier, castor oil packs. Those are 2 big parts of what I talk to patients about. Multivitamin and mineral, I do think people need to be taking it. I don't think we can get all the nutrients we can from foods. And we're so exposed to GMOs and pesticides and herbicides, and our soils are not packed with the minerals that it had, you know, even 20 years ago. So taking, you know, a multivitamin mineral is a good idea. So those are 3 supplements that I do have people take, again, daily, weekly basis. A few other products that I suggest frequently are the Very Well Immune Herbal Powder. I love this powder because it's a great formula that's got some great herbs in it, like elderberry and astragalus. That's very supportive to the immune system. It's a powder, and it can be easily added to a smoothie or mixed into yogurt or applesauce. I can make it as a juice for kids or popsicles. So this is really a good thing to have on hand. I also like using mushrooms as part of a supportive supplement for the immune system. And I didn't mention this at the beginning of this section, but I up all of these preventative measures when I first see any stressful events coming. So that could be traveling. I mean, just even preparing to go on a holiday, or even when you get on the holiday, the body can finally relax and be like, okay, I can get sick now. So if you can really support your system before you get on the airplane or get into your car, and then the first few days of being on your holiday, it can really help avoid any kind of illness when you're on a holiday. The other times for stressful events are after summer holiday and kids are going back to school, or right before a holiday or a break from school, when we have a tendency to sleep less and eat more sugar. That's also a really good time to be taking everything that we just talked about. I also love Wise Woman Herbal Throat Spray. I usually suggest people who are traveling to get the 2-ounce bottle, because it can be brought on an airplane. You can just spray it the back of your mouth during the flight. You can also keep it in your bag or your diaper bag. So if you're feeling your throat is getting scratchy, or you're around somebody who's coughing, you can protect your throat from getting any germs. Elderberry glycerite is one of my favorite herbs for children. And I think we're going to be talking about that a little bit later too. And of course, it's always very important to remember the basics. Be diligent with hygiene. I mean, most diseases are caused by poor hygiene. So, or what I think it was Hippocrates said, it's not the disease, it's the terrain. So keeping yourself super healthy and clean and with good hygiene keeps your body or your terrain strong and ready to fight off any disease that comes its way. So making sure that you are washing your hands with warm water and soap and covering up surfaces is really important. Of course, eating whole, colorful foods is kind of a no-brainer. When I say whole, I'm talking about non-processed foods, so foods that come in boxes or cans. So trying to get more vegetables is really great. It has more vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that help support and boost the immune system. One thing that I find over and over again is that people are dehydrated. And I talk to patients about that a lot, and how important it is to be drinking water, and people will complain that they don't like the taste of water. So that's when herbal tea comes into the picture, and I suggest people having a pitcher of iced herbal tea in the fridge, or filling their water bottle with iced herbal tea to keep themselves hydrated. And sleep. I mean, if you feel like you're getting sick, one day of rest can prevent the whole illness coming on. As sleep is the time for the body to rest and to do any kind of maintenance and repair, which it needs to do on a daily basis. Okay, so what I was talking about, we talked a lot about prevention, but if somebody is sick, what are you going to do? So I think one of my biggest things that I suggest for people is to take something every 3 hours for 3 days straight. So that you don't need to take anything if you're sleeping and at nighttime, but keeping the immune system stimulated and supported every 3 hours is really powerful. Again, sleep. The minute you start feeling sick, get into bed and rest. So what I mean by every 3 hours is I love using vitamin C when people are sick. So you say you wake up at 8 a.m., you take some vitamin C. 3 hours later, you're going to take an immune tincture, an encapsulated herb. 3 hours later, the appropriate homeopathic remedy. If you're taking a nap or you're going to bed at night, do magic socks or magic t-shirts. And so just do that for 3 days straight, every 3, maybe 4 hours. Usually I have them do this for 3 days. After 3 days, everyone's like, I feel great. I'm all better. And I'm like, let's go for 4 more days for some extra insurance, but with lower doses. So maybe not every 3 hours, you're doing it every 4 or 5 hours. And instead of say taking 500 milligrams of vitamin C, you're taking 250 milligrams. The immune tincture, you can lower the dose. So you're just really keeping yourself strong for an extra 4 days to make sure that you don't get sick again. Because a lot of times, after 3 days, if people don't continue with taking something to support their system, their system was overtaxed, and if some germ they get exposed to an illness from someone else, they're going to pick it up. Because remember, it's not the disease, it's the terrain. Okay, so I wanted to end with talking about being supplement savvy, because it is really, I see this over and over again with people who come to me with either 3 supplements or a bag full of supplements, and a lot of them are from big box stores, and there's a lot of fillers in there, some ingredients that you don't want, and not enough ingredients of what you do want. And anybody can make a supplement. You or I could make a tincture right now, dry some herbs, put it into a capsule and sell it. So there's no regulation. So going with a company that is reputable and they're doing a lot of third-party testing is extremely important. I'm going to let you guys read this over. If you have any questions with supplements, again, feel free to get in touch with me and ask me. I'm always happy to direct you to good places to buy supplements and good companies to purchase, because it is, I can tell you over and over again, to spend an extra few dollars on a better quality supplement is not only going to be help you through an illness, but it could prevent an illness, and a lot of times a lot of these supplements can cause illness, especially when we're talking about oils like essential fatty acids or omega oils and fish oils, because they can do a lot more damage in the body than help if it's not a good quality. All right, I think that's it. So here's my contact information. Again, I'm always happy to answer anyone's questions. You can find me at drheathernd.com or humanbodydetectives.com. If you want to learn more about who I am and what I do, you can travel over there. So if there's any questions, I'm open and happy to answer any.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Heather. So I actually have a question to start.
Oh, perfect.
If somebody was just barely dipping a toe into natural medicine, it sounds like there's a lot you can do with herbs and oils. What would be your recommendation for a place to start to introducing natural medicine in a household? I know, big question, right?
Well, it is kind of a big question because, I think when people go to health food stores, they can get a lot of information from some of the people on staff there, like in that section. But I think like the best place to go is maybe get some books on herbs and homeopathy. There's so many great ones out there. You can go to go to the library. I think that's the best place, and start picking out some books about different herbs and botanical medicine and homeopathy, and either written by a naturopathic doctor or a homeopathic doctor, and learn from there. And then once you have the foundation, you can move on to implementing it into your everyday life. Or of course you can, work with a naturopath. And that's one thing that I do a lot with people is, like I think I mentioned it earlier, is helping people create a natural pharmacy and answering questions, and having somebody be a team player of keeping your family healthy is important.
Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. One of our attendees would like to know, she's pregnant and due in December, and what are some good ways that she can keep herself and her baby safe from the flu?
I think.
And sorry, she just followed up. She also has a kid in high school who's gotten the flu 2 years in a row.
High school kids, I guess I'll start there. That's a whole different ballgame, because once they get into with their peers, it's really hard to control their diet. But I think doing some essential oils, get your teenager a diffuser, and help them choose some scents that are great that they can use in their bedroom, can be really great. Like kids really resonate with that, male or female. And with keeping yourself healthy right now, hydrotherapy, doing some hot and cold in the shower is going to be really great. Also, getting essential. I think one of the big things with women who are pregnant and during the first year is that the baby takes every piece of essential fatty acid in the mother for themselves. So making sure that you're getting a good supply of omegas, either through hemp oil, flax oil, cod liver oil, fish, or any kind of omega oil is going to be great, or incorporating more of like avocados and some of the fats into your diet is going to be great. And the other big piece would be getting probiotics and making sure that you have a lot of probiotics, and that your gut and your digestion is working really well.
Thank you. Another question we have is regarding recommendations for essential fatty acids in terms of cod liver oil. It's from a family with a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. Both parents are over 50. So do you have any recommendations on how to keep good essential fatty acids in their diet?
Well, diet, eating lots of, like what I do, my kids are getting older now, so it's a little bit, they're off at university and stuff, but is I would have containers in my fridge, glass containers that I would put some nuts and some seeds in, and some grated carrots, like things that you could put on top of salads that, that are packed with a lot of essential fatty acids. And so that kids can just take what they want and put on the foods that they want. And, they could put all that on rice or noodles too. So that could be great. If you want a supplement, I'm a huge lover of smoothies, because you can hide a lot in a smoothie. Ooh. So putting some fish oil or any kind of omega oil into a smoothie is great. You just start with lower so that you can, up the dose without them noticing. That is really great to do. Or it's just part of what they take every day. Like you give them, I bought little containers, not containers, but you can buy them at IKEA or probably Target, just little tiny bowls. And I would put the essential fatty acid in there, and a multivitamin and like a probiotic. And it was just with their breakfast every day or with their dinner. So that was just part of their eating. So just incorporating it into every day. And of course, monkey see, monkey do. So if kids see what parents are doing, they're more apt to do it, take it.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our time with Dr. Heather. I want to thank all of the attendees for joining our webinar today. Dr. Heather's book and curriculum series, Human Body Detective, is available at the co-op, and for a very limited time, you can save 89% on the award-winning curriculum. Dr. Heather, thank you so much for generously sharing your time and knowledge with us today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, and have a great day, everyone.
Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.